How's it going, everybody? Welcome into the Sactown Sports Kings recap show. Joining you live from Golden One Center after the Sacramento Kings take down the Philadelphia 76ers by a score of 108-96. Yes, the streak is over. The season of breaking streaks is officially here. The Kings had a long losing streak to the Milwaukee Bucks. Heading into that season, that no longer exists. The Kings had a 10-game losing streak to this Philadelphia 76ers team. That is now over as well, as the Kings, as I said, take the win today here at Golden One Center. And it was kind of a strange night, to be honest. The flow of today's game wasn't very pretty. The referees definitely had their say in how tonight went. I didn't love how it was officiated in that first half. There was, I marked it down, 25 fouls just in that first half. And if you look at, as I did, at pretty much every NBA box score from today, that's about the total of an entire game. So it took a while for this game to kind of get into a rhythm. The Kings did a great job of never letting the Sixers really get into any sort of flow. We can talk about it, but Tyrese Maxey really kept this team in the game for the good portion of the first half. And then once they stopped Tyrese Maxey, really, this game was never really much in doubt. So it was a very good win from this Kings team. Now the ninth straight game actually that they've held opponents below 112 points per game. That's been a number that we've tracked here really since that streak started. And I also got another interesting nugget here. The Kings have held 4 of their last 9 opponents to under 100 points scored. They had only done that 5 times in the first 62 games of the season. So this team has definitely turned a corner on the defensive end. I'm willing to fully believe it now at this point. I think that is a reasonable enough sample size to say these guys have definitely figured something out on the defensive end. Mike Brown was talking about in pregame today how he's drilled these guys more than he has drilled really any team he's ever had, just in terms of defensive fundamentals. I'm not talking about just, Mike Brown kind of led us into what his game plan or what his practice schedule looks like. He's still got tons of offensive drills in there. It's still more offensive drills than defensive drills. But he talked about how much time he has had to spend with this team just on the fundamentals of defense, closing out, proper rotations. I mean, specifically on the closeout note, he has specifically mentioned, and you should look out for it these next couple games, he's instructed them to close out by essentially high-fiving the opposing shooter. If you ever see a King on a closeout, and we saw a controversial closeout today, Domantas Sabonis got called on a closeout foul on Mo Bamba from 3. You saw Mike Brown instantly challenge that, and I think it's because he wanted to reward his guy for doing exactly what he has taught him to do, and that's close out without contact. If you just hit the hand, that's a perfect executed closeout. And so we've seen that here more times than I think I've ever seen a Kings team have perfect closeouts. It's really incredible, and it is really a testament to sometimes you do have to take things back to basics. You might think that these guys are pros and have been for a while, and you wouldn't have to teach these guys fundamentals, but Mike Brown kind of put it in the pregame. With the way that kids are brought up these days, you really aren't instructed on the fundamentals, especially on the defensive end. So, it's definitely something that was apparently needed from this team. Keon Ellis today doesn't really have the major impact that we've seen him have here recently, so you can't really attribute this one just to Keon Ellis on the defensive end. This was really a lot of people. I thought De'Aaron played a great game on the defensive end. Davion Mitchell did a great job as well in that second half, closing off that Tyrese Maxey faucet. I thought it was a really good defensive performance from a lot of the Kings guys tonight. And I think that it's here to stay, man. I'm done questioning whether or not these guys are going to continue to lock down on the defensive end. I just think that we have a large enough sample size to where I think we can reasonably say that this is just who these guys are at this point. And all the drilling that Mike Brown had done earlier in this season, I think has definitely paid off. And you kind of see it with the results that they've gotten here. And they win all the hustle stats tonight. They win points in the paint, 52-42. They win the second chance battle, 18-11. They win fast break points, 15-10. Largest lead of the game for the Kings was 22. The Sixers never held a lead larger than 1. So I think it's mission accomplished on that front for the Kings, and you just absolutely love to see it. I think this team turning a corner on the defensive end is exactly what has been asked of these guys really the past 2 years. Everyone has said, we don't know if this team can be a top X defensive team in the league, but could they get to league average was all that people were asking for. Well, ladies and gentlemen, going into today's game, and I'm confirming it right here, right now, the Kings were dead in the middle, 15th at defensive rating heading into tonight, and they might even rise after tonight's performance. So they have done exactly what we have asked from them. They are a league average defensive team, and you see how much better this team just looks in total with that. I think that it's been a really, sorry as I'm way too zoomed in here, I think it's been a really big season just in terms of them finding that defense. We talked about last year in the playoffs when they rose the intensity in against the Warriors. That's right. They really rose the intensity in that playoff series, and we see how much better this team can be if they just focus in on the defensive end. And you see here they've played some of their best basketball these past couple weeks, and I definitely just think if this team's going to head into the playoffs right now, I think this is exactly how they should be playing. So we'll see. We'll see with Dallas coming into town tomorrow. Can they continue it? Can they continue? Because they've had a little bit of an easy streak here playing some lesser opponents, but now they have Dallas on Tuesday and then again on Friday, and they've been playing really, really well on the defensive end. So it'll be interesting to see which one gives, because I definitely don't think those two games are going to be a defensive masterclass on both sides. Definitely think both of those teams are going to end up leaning into their offense, because that's just kind of where their bread is buttered. All right, y'all. It was a really, really good game, and a nice little sequence of games from this team. Again, we talked about this yesterday, but the big thing for me is the consistency. The fact that it's not, 3 of their last 5 or, 2 of their last 3 even. We're seeing night after night after night, these guys are showing up and doing the same thing consistently over and over again. And I think that's just the ultimate sign that this thing it's not a flash in the pan. I do think that they've really turned the corner. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's even another level to go to. They've kind of reached this league average, but I feel like there is a legitimate another level to go to. I think that, again, you didn't have a massive defensive performance out of Keon tonight. I didn't think Keegan defensively was anything special tonight. He kind of got cooked by Tyrese Maxey, though HB definitely did as well. Anybody who wasn't Keon or Davion, honestly, kind of got that work from Tyrese Maxey tonight. But I still think that there's some room for improvement, and it's not crazy. It's not crazy improvement. It's really, really simple things, and I think this team can still take another level. And on the big notes from tonight, I've, of course, got Tyrese Maxey scoring 21 of 25 in that first quarter for Philadelphia. No other starter scored a single point in that first quarter besides Tyrese Maxey. I don't really know how to feel about it, because ideally you shouldn't allow anybody to go off like that against your team. But at the same time, if someone's going to try and play hero ball and play 1 versus 5, you got to feel good about your odds. I mean, it didn't look good for a bit there. Tyrese was outscoring the Kings 16-15 at one point. But ultimately, Tyrese Maxey's not going to score 100. He's not going to score 110 or 109. So if that's the game that Philly wanted to play, I think the Kings were more than willing to play that style. And, I think it would have worked out for the Kings kind of regardless tonight. I think Tyrese Maxey needed anybody else to give him some help, and nobody was there. Buddy was did he finish 0 of 7? 0 of 6 from three. He was a complete non-factor. Tobias Harris got to his spots but couldn't hit anything. Mo Bamba only took 3 shots. Kyle Lowry took 4 shots. Batum took 3 shots. I mean, really, there really wasn't anybody who was even trying to score, with the exception of Tyrese Maxey. So, it just never really felt like tonight was going to go the Sixers' way. The Sixers have been pretty terrible since they've lost Joel Embiid. They now move to 10-16 since the Joel Embiid injury on February. They've been without him really since the start of February. They've been 22nd in offensive rating, 22nd in defensive rating. You can do the math and figure out they were 22nd in net rating as well. Just coming into tonight, I looked it up just because I was kind of afraid that this was going to be a night where a team plays completely outside of their averages and just goes off against the Kings. Really happy to see that really the Kings held the Sixers to exactly who they've been this entire stretch. So these are all numbers since the Joel Embiid injury. The Sixers are averaging 106 points per game, 26th best in the NBA. Kings hold them to 96, so actually held them 10 points below their average on the season. They weren't a good scoring team in general. That was the bigger point, 26th in the NBA. And the Kings didn't allow them to play outside of that. 48 points in the first half allowed, 48 points in the second half allowed. That's consistency. You love to see it. 44% from the field. That's 29th in the NBA. They were 43% in the first half, 41% by the end of this game. Kings held them under their percentages from three as well. The Sixers coming into tonight, 34% since Joel went down. They shot 33% in the first half, 32% in the second half. That has been the biggest number for this Kings team all year long. It didn't matter who they were going against. It could have been you. It could have been me. It could have been anybody out here missing free throws behind me on the floor. Teams would walk in here and shoot 40% regardless. So the fact that really the Kings haven't allowed a team in general to score on them like that. Let me see the last time a team shot, let's just say over 38% on the Kings from three here. Game logs. Let's see here. Opponents, 3-point percentage. Well, actually looking at it here, it happened the other day against Washington. I should have remembered that. But before that Washington game, it was the Lakers shot 43%. And then before that, Houston shot 41%. So it's been a while since the Kings had really allowed teams to go off from the perimeter. Good to see that number go down here recently. Kings shot 78% from the free throw line today. We know that's a number that we've been keeping track of all season. That's actually better than what they typically do throughout this season. So love to see that. And again, just the Kings really not allowing somebody else to go off, because that's really where tonight could have gone bad, is if they had a big Tobias Harris game. If Buddy Hield knocked down a couple of those threes, that's where the Kings maybe would have kind of tightened up a little bit there, and things could have gotten a little bit testy, but didn't have to worry about that. They forced Philadelphia into 15 turnovers, which is a lot considering that they have averaged the fewest turnovers without Joel Embiid in the lineup. They usually average 11, so to get them up at 15 is exactly what the Kings have done. Been incredibly disruptive. How many steals did they end up with tonight? They finished with 6 steals, which is a great number for the Kings. The Kings have actually, I think they're second in the NBA this month in steals per game, and post All-Star as well. Have really been racking up the steals and the deflections. That's exactly the kind of defense the Kings want to play. And again, just showing consistency here. They're playing defense consistently the same way every time, which means they're the ones dictating it. They're not, just being responsive to the offensive attack that's coming at them. They are being the aggressors on defense, and that's just not something that they'd really done here for a while. Let's see here. What else? What other nuggets do I have here? Slow pace. I mentioned those 25 fouls in the first half. Tyrese Maxey had 26 at halftime, finished with 29. So when I talk about the Kings shutting off that faucet, that's exactly what I'm referring to. The fact that Maxey just looked like a man on a mission. I think he had 21 at the end of that first quarter. He had 21 at the end of the first, and then didn't even get to 30 by the end of the game. That is fantastic stuff by the Kings. We saw how Jalen Brunson even was able to elevate his team just enough to beat the Kings. Even though the Kings played good defense in that one, Brunson was just good enough to get the result. They didn't allow Tyrese Maxey to be that good tonight. It looked for a second like it was going to be that, but good job on the Kings to hold Tyrese and again, just kind of shut off what he had going on. Davion had a really big game today. He makes the graphic, if you will. He had 18. He had 10 of those in the first half. I think all of those were in the second quarter. He had 10 points, 4 or 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, and again played a really, really good defense. He was overall a +8. I think he was a +15 by the end of the third, +13 by the end of the third quarter. He played a really good game. We've talked about here previously how Davion's offense really does allow him to play more minutes. He played, even saying that, he played 24 minutes tonight, which I guess is a lot for him. But it was just really good to see. The Kings really do need one of him or Keon Ellis to be big on the defensive end. And on a night where Keon, I won't say Keon didn't have it, but Keon wasn't spectacular in terms of filling up the box score like we've seen him have some 4 or 5 steal and block games here recently. Didn't really quite do that tonight. So it was good to see Davion have a big impact. And also didn't get the big scoring night out of Keon that we had just seen from him the other day. Where was that? The other day in Orlando. There was another little nugget I had here. Held Maxey to 0 points in that. Oh, of course, Domantas Sabonis gets the double-double streak. 54 consecutive double-doubles here in the regular season on an offensive rebound in a putback. He has 67 double-doubles. He did finish off with a triple-double tonight. 67 double-doubles in 71 games. Just think about that for a second. There have only been 4 games this season in which Domantas Sabonis has not gotten a double-double. That's incredible. There's only been 6 games this year where he hasn't had at least 10 rebounds. So, what is that? 2 of those games he's had more than 10 assists. He's just been incredible, and I talked about it earlier on the radio show today, but Styles and Watkins 10-2 right here on Sactown Sports 1140. It really just speaks to his consistency. Like, really, when you talk about a guy who shows up every single night, a guy who you don't have to question his effort, a guy where you just know exactly what you're going to get from him every single night. The value of that you cannot put a dollar sign on it. I mean, I talked about it. It's, Malik Monk. Malik's a perfect example. Tonight, Malik has 11 points, 4 of 11, 0 of 5 from 3. Malik's terrific. He's been terrific all year. Sabonis hasn't had one of those games. Malik just had 0 points on Saturday. Sabonis hasn't had one of those games in 54 and that's just points. I'm not talking about rebounds as well. I'm not talking about assists as well. Just the fact that this guy is going to give you something every single night. I know it might sound easy. Of course he has a double-double. He has the ball in his hands all the time. They don't have any other rebounders. If it were so easy, and Mike Brown's been saying this exactly, if it's so easy, everybody else would do it. Or somebody else would do it. Or it'd happen more often. But it doesn't. It doesn't. The ability to play every single night and play at a high level like Sabonis does, it just can't be overstated, man. It really can't. How big that is for this Kings team, especially a team that has had a really bad history of having players not give 100% effort every single night. So I cannot give a big enough hat tip to Domantas Sabonis and the thing that he's done all season long and just proven he's an all-star, he's an all-NBA caliber player, and all that other bull is for the birds, because real ones know that this guy has been, I'm not afraid to say it, he's been the best player on this Kings team the past 2 seasons. I know De'Aaron Fox is spectacular. I know in the playoffs especially, this team only goes as far as De'Aaron Fox will take them. But in terms of bringing it every single night and making sure that this team is even in a position to be in the playoffs, Domantas Sabonis he's the MVP. He just is. He makes so many people better every single night that again, you just can't really put a number on exactly what he does for this team and how key him how key his success is to getting other people looks. The DHOs are the most obvious example. How he's able to create space for guys like Keegan, like Keegan, like HB. Those guys really don't get that many open looks if it's not for Domantas Sabonis absolutely destroying the entire NBA when it comes to screen assists. I can pull the number up, but it is absolutely absurd how many more screen assists Domantas Sabonis has than everybody else in the NBA here. Let me pull it up here. On the season, coming into tonight, Domantas Sabonis leads the NBA in screen assists with 1,014. 1,014 screen assists. Number 2 in the NBA is Rudy Gobert at 752. Domantas Sabonis almost has 300 screen assist points. That's screen assist points. I'm sorry. Screen assists in general, 429 to 316. So there's a 113 difference between Sabonis and Gobert. That's from 1 to 2. If I were to subtract 113 from Gobert, that would put us at 203, which is... let's put it at like 15th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16th. So the difference from 1 and 2 is the same difference from 2 to 16. That is how much better he is than everybody else at creating space for his teammates. Can't say enough about the guy. He is just absolutely incredible in the things that he does for not only himself but for his teammates in terms of getting them into a rhythm is priceless. It is absolutely priceless. And I believe that is the last little Denver Nuggie that I have on this season. Oh, Adam Silver in attendance. Of course. How could I forget that one? The big one, the commish, Adam Silver in attendance today to see Domantas Sabonis break that Kevin Love record. Also, I would assume maybe, I assume it's probably for the Sabonis record, but there is a really big game happening tomorrow here at Golden One Center. Wouldn't surprise me if Adam Silver is in the house tomorrow as well. Yeah, definitely thought that was interesting, though, that Silver came in for today's. I assume he came in for Sabonis' record, but definitely think it's interesting that whenever Adam Silver's in the building, he's been here a couple random times, but just always interesting to hear maybe what conversations happen when the commissioner's in town, because it could be for a ton of different reasons. So definitely thought it was interesting. Adam Silver and De'Aaron Fox's agent, super agent Rich Paul, was in the building sitting next to De'Aaron's wife for say courtside. Don't know what Rich Paul's doing in town. Again, maybe it's just that there's big two games here for the Kings, but thought it was interesting that Rich was sitting courtside as well. Don't know if there's anything going on with De'Aaron business-wise or anything like that. I'm trying to think if there's anyone on the Sixers that might be a Clutch client. There's a possibility Maxi's a Clutch client. That's all I can really think of. That would be. I think Mo Bamba is actually a Clutch client as well. But yeah, just thought it was strange that Rich Paul was in the building. Yeah, Adele's boyfriend, exactly. Adele's boyfriend was in the house, better known as Adele's boyfriend. We're gonna do 3 stars because my computer battery's sitting at 13%. So let's start to close this thing up with our 3 stars. I am going to give my first star of the night to Domantas Sabonis. I know he did set a record tonight, but if you just look at the stat sheet, nothing crazy. 11 points, 13 boards, 10 assists. That's literally an average night for Sabonis. That's actually a below average night for Domantas Sabonis, a well below average in terms of rebounds and points. Assists, slightly above average, but for the most part, nothing was required that crazy of Sabonis. He was very physical with the Sixers centers, got both of those guys into foul trouble. I know Bamba had 4. Bamba finished with 4. Paul Reed only had 2, but KJ Martin, who was kind of moonlighting as a backup center as well, got 5 fouls. So Domantas Sabonis just kind of was very physical and made sure that the Kings weren't gonna lay down today, as he always does every single night. Nothing crazy. 11, 13, and 10. He was a plus 15 in the box score. Only took 5 shots tonight. So that's really getting it done. And again, just letting your teammates take control. On a night where, maybe he could have been a bit selfish. He really could have said, hey, I want to really make sure I get that double-double streak broken, but also make sure I do it, in resounding fashion. Really didn't feel the need to do it, and I love that. That's what's so great about what's just so great about Sabonis is he really is a selfless guy, but does love to get his teammates going. And, tonight is just another example of him doing that. It's really tough for me to not put De'Aaron Fox in here. Again, 23 points, plus 16 in the box plus minus. Finished with 2 steals tonight, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Great game for De'Aaron, but I've said it before. We just hold him to a little bit of a different standard. He's got to be more efficient. 8 of 18 isn't terrific. I saw a number earlier today that I guess he's been absolutely out of control around the rim, shooting something like 95% around the rim. We need to see more of that. 2 of 6 from 3 today. His 3 looked okay. 5 of 6 from the line. That's good for De'Aaron, but just kind of want to see a little bit more out of him. Would love to see just a really big De'Aaron Fox superstar game. Can't remember the last time. Let me actually look it up. When was the last time De'Aaron Fox had, let's say, 32 plus? I know he just had a really, really big game maybe like 2 weeks ago, but it just hasn't really felt like De'Aaron has been, oh my gosh, De'Aaron Fox, watch De'Aaron Fox tonight. He actually had 31 the other day against Orlando, 10 of 22. Let's see here. The last really exceptional De'Aaron Fox game was probably Milwaukee. He was 11 of 17, 4 of 5 from 3, 29 points, 7 assists. It's a fantastic night. Against San Antonio, he shot under 50% from the field, but scored 33 points. And then that Laker game. That Laker game's the one that I'm thinking of that really sticks out. Shot just under 60% from the field, had 2 steals, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 44 points. That was really the last time we've seen De'Aaron Fox be absolutely insane. It's been a while. It's been a lot of 20-point games here where he's kind of floated between 20 and 25 points. I would love to see no, they absolutely don't. You're completely right, Blue Velvet. The team's winning. They don't need De'Aaron Fox putting up 30, absolutely. But it just, I'm fine with it because, again, you can say kind of resting him up for the playoffs, making sure he's going to be have a little bit left in the tank for that because they're going to need him. In the playoffs, it's going to be every single night De'Aaron's got to put up 30. But no, it's just a little – I just wonder because he was coming back from an injury. Looking back at it, I mean, he missed 2 games against Denver and Minnesota, and you look at the games since then, he's had 3 games of over 30 points in his last, 11 games. So for a guy who was up at 30 points per game earlier this year, it's just I just want to make sure he's feeling okay. That's really more where that concern comes from. Definitely not concerned about his overall game. 2 stars. This is a tough one. I think I'm going to go Keegan Murray for my 2 stars of the night. 9 of 20, 3 of 11. I honestly thought he was more efficient from 3 than that. Let me see if maybe he missed a couple down the stretch. 3 of 10. He was 3 of 8. So maybe that's what it was. So that's exactly what it was. Keegan Murray started off the game 3 of 5 at the end of the first quarter. Finished 3 of 11. So I don't know what to necessarily do with that. It's great to see Keegan attacking on the offensive end. He did a lot more than shoot threes. He was 6 of 9 from inside the arc. Love to see that out of Keegan, especially from a guy who was pretty much solely beyond the perimeter last year. 6 of 9 is fantastic. A lot of dunks, a lot of cuts. He had a lot of just trying to bang out on guys, which you love to see out of Keegan, just try and finish everything over the top. But I did not realize that after starting 3 of 5, he went 0 of 6. And I don't even know if he started 3 of 3, if he started 3 of 4. I don't know exactly how many in a row he missed, but To start the first quarter 3 of 5 and then end 3 of 11, it's just not great, man. Like he's been really. I'd be less concerned, or probably would bring less attention to it if he hadn't been in this little rut here. I know he played a great game on Saturday against Orlando. He was 6 of 7 from 3 on Saturday, but again, it's a lot of 2 of 4, 0 of 5, 2 of 8, 1 of 7, a 5 of 10. 0 of 5, 1 of 3, 1 of 6, 1 of 5, 1 of 3, 3 of 7, a 6 of 7, 3 of 7, 2 of 4, 0 of 4, 0 of 2, 1 of 6, 1 of 4, 0 and 3, 2 and 4, 1 and 5, 1 and 6. Just a lot of inconsistency out of a guy who I just didn't think was even capable of going cold for this long. I almost felt like Keegan wasn't human at times last year with how efficient he was from 3. So it's just weird to see him struggle like this from beyond the arc. This is now a large enough sample size to where I feel like, let's just take the last, ever since game 42. Or I'm sorry, ever since game 41, I guess. So game 42 on, at this point, Keegan is shooting 33% from 3 on 5.5 attempts per game. It's just a bit concerning, man, because I just thought he would be 40% every single season of his career. And I just wonder, how much of his sophomore slump is going to be here to stay for the rest of the season, because I kind of thought by now he would have his legs back under him. I thought he would be a little bit more comfortable with the rhythm of the season, but it's kind of felt like he started to lose his legs as the year goes on. So it's definitely something to monitor. Kings are going to need him tomorrow. They're definitely going to need him on Friday. I would assume him and Keon Ellis are going to get a heavy dose of Luka Doncic these next 2 games. So Keegan's going to at least have to be on his game on the defensive end, and hopefully the shots can continue to fall as well. But 2 stars out of Keegan today. Don't want to make it sound like it was a bad Keegan Murray game. It was definitely a good Keegan Murray game. But again, just there still is some scary stats buried within that. So love to see Keegan maybe at least just start to see shots go in. I guess the efficiency will come when it will, but again, just him not staying beyond the arc. And Mike Brown's talked about wanting Keegan to be a bit more aggressive, looking for his shots. Well, Keegan took the most shots of anybody on the team tonight. 20 field goal attempts for him. De'Aaron was next closest with 18. I think that's exactly what Mike Brown wants to see. And ultimately, as long as Keegan's taking shots, I'm not going to be upset if he's making or missing them, just because I just have to believe that at some point this thing's going to even out, and we're going to see Keegan Murray return to the Keegan Murray that we saw a lot of last year. That means that 3 stars of the day is going to, and I think somebody called it earlier, actually. You kind of might have given, yes, a mid-rock. I should have known a mid-rock would be on it. 3 stars for Davion Mitchell. Just a great game. Came off the bench, gave great energy. Again, in a game where Keon didn't have it, in a game where Malik really didn't have it to start this one, Davion came in that second quarter and was a spark plug. He was the spark plug that Malik usually is. Just in that second quarter, 10 points for Davion, 4 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. And really just kept it pushing, man. In the second half, he had a nice finish. We've talked about how his offense has kind of developed and how he's stopped just fixating on hitting those deep threes and started to drive the paint a lot more. I think that Davion really had a great game and has had a really good stretch of really like a month and a half, 2 months of just really solid basketball. And I think he's making it really hard to keep him off the floor. I think he's kind of over trying to show his entire arsenal of things and has really started to focus on what is my role and how can I excel in my role, which I think is really tough for a dude who's still, young like Davion is, young in his NBA career. You want to show no, especially when you're a top 10 pick, I can be somebody. And I think it started to seep in here that Davion's going to make his money, at least with this team right now, as a role player and just excelling in what he's asked to do. And that's be efficient, come in, give good hustle minutes, and just create some chaos on occasion. And today, it was on the offensive end where he really did create some chaos. And I've loved what I've seen out of Davion really this last, let's see here. Let's track it all the way back to about halfway through February, really. Let's see. Can I make it an even month? Let's just do from the start of February. Davion Mitchell here from the start of February has been, as my numbers are loading and my computer is dying. I just think Davion has really turned the corner Because yeah, again, like it feels like he's just kind of relaxed, settled down, and figured out. I don't have to light up the scores, the stat sheet. I don't have to be just a spot up shooter on this team in order to make an impact. He can do other things as well, and find other ways of scoring without just stretching the floor, knocking down threes. Of course, that's definitely still needed from him, but it's just not the only thing that he's out there to do. And now, of course, my numbers don't want to load, so that's awesome. Love that for me. Let's see here. So Davion, since the start of February, has shot. Well, let's see here. Since the start of February, Davion Mitchell from 3 has shot. And now it doesn't want to load. That's great. This is the biggest troll of all time. I'm just trying to give Davion Mitchell credit, man. I feel like, again, we don't really have many opportunities to talk about Davion, just because he's usually not one of the 3 most prolific guys on the team, and I'm trying to give him his flowers right here, but Basketball Reference doesn't want to cooperate. So shout out to Davion. He got a new song here at the arena. I can't remember. What song did I can't even remember what song they picked, but Davion Mitchell now has a new jingle every time he makes a shot. So if you're at the arena, definitely got to check that one out. I am going to head out of here. My laptop is now giving me a notification that I'm on 1% battery. I'm going to head out, and we will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, right here at Golden One Center after the Kings take on the Dallas Mavericks. And Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are in town for probably the biggest series of games of the season for the Kings. These 2 games are just huge. I mean, if I truly think the Kings need to win them both. If they end up splitting them, it really doesn't do them many favors, as Dallas has a really easy stretch at the end of the season, where they're gonna, they're probably gonna pick up some wins here, and the Kings really are gonna have some tougher opponents, and it's probably not going to be as easily sledding. So I think the Kings need to kind of get this 2-game separation from Dallas. If they end up at the end of these 2 games tied, I just feel like Dallas has the advantage there. The Kings did actually do themselves a lot of favors by picking up the win today. I did hear, and by the way, Davion is shooting 39% on 2 threes per game since the start of February. That number finally loaded. But the Suns lost today. I believe to the Jazz? The Suns lost. Yes, the Suns. No, I'm looking at it right in front of my face. The Suns lost to the Spurs 104-109. That was without Victor Wembanyama. So the Kings actually now are going to sit in that number 6 spot in the Western Conference here, with Phoenix at number 8 and Dallas tied with Sacramento at number 7. The Kings do currently hold the tiebreaker, and they will win the tiebreaker if they only win one of these games on Tuesday or Friday. But again, winning both of them gives the Kings 2-game separation as well. Clippers lost tonight. That means the Kings are only 2 games behind the Clippers for that 5 seed as well. Look out for that. Again, if the Kings win these next 2 games, they create separation against Dallas. Maybe they can inch a little bit closer to the Clippers as well and make that an interesting final stretch of the season, as the Kings do play the Clippers late in April. So that's definitely something to monitor and keep track of. I'm going to head out. Appreciate you all for tuning in tonight, and hope to see you tomorrow after the Sacramento Kings take on the Dallas Mavericks for the first of 2 games here at Golden One Center, and what again will be the probably biggest games that we've had here this year. Y'all have a fantastic night, and I will see you tomorrow.